Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We're getting ready to go ahead and start the Federal Joint Certification Public Workshop of the Miami-Dade Transportation Planning Organization, and I appreciate everybody coming forward and coming to attend it tonight. First off, I'd like to go ahead and apologize. I may start coughing a little bit. So I'd like to introduce our review team from Federal Highway tonight. We have Kathy Kendall on my left, Mr. Kerry Shepard on my right, and I am Stacie Blizzard. Unfortunately, our team member from Federal Transit Administration was not able to join us, but they are joining us on the phone during our site visits during the day, and they will be providing also some input later on. But again, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it, and I'd also like to recognize Eileen and Jesus, who are also sitting on the dais from the TPO organization. Thank you very much, and we really appreciate the hospitality that everybody has shown us on our visit today. Oh, one more, okay. So why are we here? One of the things that we have is every year every 4 years, federal law requires the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration to certify the planning process in a transportation management area. And in the Miami urbanized area, it actually is comprised of 3 MPOs, the Miami-Dade TPO, the Broward MPO, and the Palm Beach TPA. So today we're conducting part of the site visit for the location here in Miami. And the review actually takes place in several different parts. It's several, sorry about that. It is comprised of a desk audit in which we look at several of the major plans that the MPO develops, such as your long-range plan, the visioning document, the Transportation Improvement Program, which is the short-term plan, and then the UPWP and maybe some of the other documents, public involvement, and different studies that they're doing. And then we conduct a site visit. After this site visit, we then take all the proceedings and our notes and the information that we receive from our discussions with the TPO staff, as well as you, the public, and also maybe committee members. We then comprise that and put it into a final report of our observations and its findings from this certification. And what this certification does is it establishes that the MPO's planning process follows law and follows the different requirements that they have to do for the next 4 years. So it occurs every 4 years. So part of what we're doing today is to seek your input on how the process is working here in the Miami TPO. But before we ask you to speak or ask for your input, I do want to tell you just a quick review of what that process is. And a lot of people, a lot of times I'm surprised, talk to me and say, well, what exactly is the transportation? What's the Metropolitan Transportation Planning process? And that's a process in which transportation decisions are made, the projects are planned, how they're selected, and they're prioritized for implementation within your region. And this is important because this is it's one of the facets in the puzzle of how transportation spending is spent, funding is spent nationwide. And it helps the MPOs to prioritize regional needs and determine the best and most economical solutions, and provides a framework for the future of your transportation network. It's part of the visioning process for what your community wants and where your community wants to go, and where do you want to look, how do you want to look 20 years down the road, or how in some cases you don't want to look 20 years down the road. And this process is involving all the different team members between all the transit operators, the local jurisdictions, your county, your local municipalities, citizens, your interest groups. It's all the different agencies, the resource agencies as well as the federal agencies, ourselves included, and there's others included as well that you may be working with, like the EPA. You may be working within the Corps of Engineers that work with the district as well. And this process is done, it's called a 3C approach, which is a continuing, a cooperative, and comprehensive. A lot of times I always want to add a fourth one that's coordinated, but I always have to remind myself it's not officially in law, but it's also a coordinated process as well. And it's multimodal, which I think that that's something we've been hearing a lot about today, that this TPO is really looking at multimodal solutions to some of the issues that are here in the community. And one of the major important players is public, which is you, to represent that vision. And I just put up on front of this is just some of the major products that are come out of the planning process. The Unified Planning Work Program is that short operating document that helps the TPO do their day-to-day operations, and that's short term. It's 2 years. And then the TIP, which is the 5-year vision document of implementation of projects, and they all come out of the long-range transportation plan, which is a 20-year. That's the vision, so it really works down from the 20-year to the 5-year to the 1 year, which is the day-to-day. There's also a public participation plan, which this is essentially the TPO's contract with the public. How are we going to engage you? How are we going to involve you? How are we going to bring you into this process to help us figure this out and help work for you, the public, for our community, to make this vision happen? And this slide just shows how all of these fit together. And public involvement is part of every single step of the way. It's so important. It's the basis and the foundation for everything. It's why we're all here today. But part of what we want to do is to find out from you. We want to hear about how the process is working. Do you have enough opportunity to participate? Is your voice heard? Do you have access to decision points? Because this is part of our improvement process, because no matter how perfect or how great every organization is, there's always ways to improve some things. There's always ways to bring in people. So we want to hear your voice, and we'd like to hear what you think, how it's working, and how the process works for you. Now, what we'll do, as I said earlier, is with the comments that we received today from you, it'll become part of the report that we do. We'll make we'll use that for consideration and recommendations and findings. And if you don't want to speak today, and we do have some speaker cards, there's also some comment cards if you would like to write them and leave them. We will look at those as well. There's also, I believe, places on the TPO's website. There's also through social media. They have avenues to comment through social media for the next 30 days, as well as, and when you go to the website, there's also a link to Federal Highway's website, and it'll go to a direct email to us that you can even write us comments on that. So you don't even have to go through anybody if you don't want to. You can go directly to our site, and that website's located on the TPO's website. But we will take your comments into consideration, and we do value them. We think they're very important. And we do want you to make sure that you are aware of that. This is our contact information, but this is information also that's available, as I said, in different various forms with the website as well. So with that, we would love to hear from you. And I guess first off, we have several speakers that will go ahead, and I'll call you forward. And if while they are speaking you decide you want to get up and you haven't filled out a speaker card, please don't hesitate to do so that we can give you that opportunity. So the first speaker we have listed is Stephen Abrams.
Guess you're going in alphabetical order. Okay. Good evening. And welcome to South Florida. I'm Stephen Abrams. I'm the Executive Director of the South Florida Regional Transportation Authority, which also operates Tri-Rail, which is our commuter rail system. I know you're going back 4 years. I've only been on the job 4 months, but I can tell you that prior to that, I was on the governing board of the SFRTA, and as a Palm Beach County Commissioner, was on our MPO up in Palm Beach County. And prior to that, as a municipal official dating back to 1990, on and off on the MPO up there. And by the way, I didn't realize you were in town for all 3 MPOs, so if you don't mind, I'd like to knock out all 3 and tell you what a great collaborative relationship SFRTA has had with all 3 of them. I won't give you their initials because they're all different and you get confused here. But SFRTA has had this mutually beneficial relationship, particularly with the TPO. Ms. Bouclet visits me. Our offices are in Broward County. I visit her, where you have to, test the transportation network in South Florida. But we do it in a number of ways. First, the SFRTA participates in the TPO as a member of or giving input to their various technical committees. So we are involved in their Transportation Planning Council, the Transportation Planning Technical Advisory Committee, involved in giving input in their long-range transportation plan, the transportation improvement plan, the Unified Public Works program that you mentioned. We also provide the TPO with quarterly updates to their Unified Work program regarding its major transportation and projects and programs. The second way we interrelate is TPO participates with us. So they have representatives on the SFRTA planning and programming, our Planning Technical Advisory Committee. Thirdly, SFRTA works with all three of the MPOs, including the TPO. We're a representative to the Regional Transportation Technical Advisory Committee and provide input into the Regional Transportation Plan being updated by the three MPOs. Finally, the SFRTA is involved in many Miami-Dade County area projects alongside with the TPO. So SFRTA participates as a representative in the SMART planning and visioning efforts for the Northeast Corridor and the North Corridor. Also, the TPO is a partner to the Memorandum of Understanding that was created among the regional partners pursuing the proposed downtown Miami link and the Tri-Rail Coastal Link project, which we're spearheading and looking forward to advancing. So, just in summary, the three counties collaborate together on any number of policy issues, whether it be climate change, whether it be economic development, but no issue, it requires more collaboration, in my opinion, than transportation. So we're glad to have a strong TPO down here in Miami-Dade County, and we are happy to have them as our partner and look forward to a continued productive working relationship with them. And I'm glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you for coming too and speaking. Our next speaker, Erik Tolbert, and please pardon me if I do mispronounce your name. So I'm going to give everybody apologies ahead of time.
Okay. My name is Erik Tolbert. I'm on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. In a few months, the TPO will be putting together the 2045 Long-Range Transportation Plan. Even after 25 years, there will be hundreds of millions of unfunded bicycle and pedestrian projects. The process, while useful in prioritizing projects, is fundamentally flawed. We have to figure out what bicycle and pedestrian projects we need and then find the money to build them. I have been on the BPAC for 14 years. We have certainly made progress. We are not now and will not be in 25 years close to having the facilities we need. We are and will be short of sidewalks, bike lanes, paths, and other facilities. I'm suggesting some criteria. For urban areas, there should be a sidewalk on both sides of every street. There should be enhanced bicycle pedestrian facilities every 1/4 mile. There should be full non-motorized access to all transit stops. For suburban areas, like where I live, there should be sidewalks at least every 1/2 mile and on all major roads. This is important because many places there are not crossing roads over the canals or major highways or train tracks. And unless there are sidewalks that you can safely walk on the main streets, you cannot use the back streets to get around. There should be enhanced pedestrian or bicycle facilities every mile. In other words, either a path or bike lanes or both. For rural areas, there should be a sidewalk on all main roads. It's not safe to be walking on the side of a road where traffic can be coming by at 50 miles an hour. It's just not reasonable. There should be pedestrian and bicycle facilities at least every 5 miles so people can get around. I would ask you, would you be willing to let your children or a loved one walk or ride everywhere in the county? If the answer is no, then there must be improvements made. If we don't know where we're going, we'll never get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Our next speaker is Jorge Azor.
Good evening. I want to welcome the team from the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration. Welcome to Miami, Miami-Dade County, and thank you for your review of the Miami-Dade TPO transportation process. My name is Jorge Azor, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Miami-Dade County Transportation Disadvantage Commission, one of the many boards that the TPO is in charge of and has to run. I've been its vice chair for the past 24 years. My other job consists of being a non-emergency medical transportation provider here in Miami-Dade County for the past 30 years. And the NEMT business, Madam Chair, you said one of the important points of coordination, and one of the important points of the Transportation Disadvantage Commission is to coordinate and find access to transportation for those who can't get it. The last 4 years have been interesting and challenging, and in the face of adversity is when you try to see and realize the true mettle of people. Some brilliant ideas in Tallahassee came up with a new funding formula for the Transportation Disadvantage Trust Fund, which is earmarked monies for transportation. They redid the formula, and Miami-Dade County, who had previously performed over half of the state's entire TD trips, was hit with a severe cut. Now, I've got to say that the Department of Transportation, the TPO, did not take this standing. They fought hard. They care about the citizens of Dade County. They care about meeting unmet trips, which we have a very large portion of. We are lucky in some ways, such a large urban area. Our legislature, our commission, funds the ADA transport very well. Our bus system and rail system. We take care of our seniors with our senior passes, our veterans with our Patriot passes. We go above and beyond in finding ways to get people where they need to go. But in this funding shortage that we were met with somewhere around $3 million, I was very impressed with the state, with the TPO, how they fought the actions against the county, and the true mettle of their resolve was very impressive. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir. Our next speaker is Neil Schaeffer.
Good evening. First off, thank you for allowing me to speak to you, and thank you for coming down to Miami and listening to all of us. Appreciate it. As you said, my name is Neil Schaeffer. I'm here representing the Miami Downtown Development Authority, or Miami DDA. I'm a manager in our Planning, Urban Design, and Transportation Department there at the DDA. Just wanted to share some of our priorities with you today. The Miami DDA represents downtown Miami, which is currently home to over 90,000 residents, and we have a daytime population of 250,000 people. We also host over 4.5 million visitors every year, and these numbers continue to increase every year. We realize as Miami-Dade County becomes even more congested year by year, the only sustainable long-term solution is an effective and truly connected mass transit system. Therefore, that is why the Miami DDA is a big supporter of the TPO and the county's SMART plan. In 2017, our board passed a resolution supporting the SMART plan and urging the funding of all 6 corridors. The opportunity to use transit within downtown and the greater county will only continue to grow. We not only have Metro Mover and Tri-Rail, but now as Brightline/Virgin Trains becomes fully operational, and hopefully within the next year, we might even have the downtown Tri-Rail link. The Miami DDA believes so strongly in transit, we invested $1.3 million towards that downtown Tri-Rail link. Right now, downtown is the most accessible neighborhood in Miami-Dade County by transit. Every day, thousands of residents, employees, and visitors use our transit system to get to their jobs, their homes, and their destinations. It adds up to over 1.3 million trips every month. And every trip that we can make in transit is a step towards truly building a resilient community and downtown city. Further, we believe that every job that is created must have multimodal connections into and out of our urban core. Any job that relies solely on automobile use is a job that can go pretty much anywhere else. Back to the SMART plan. We also believe that one of the best aspects of the SMART plan is that it included bold choices that require tough decisions. And we realized there's always going to be concerns as far as budgeting and financing mechanisms, but we encourage you to remain unwavering in your commitment to ensure that this region has a robust transit service. Moreover, as an economic development agency, we're always looking to partner with and invest in our downtown. So if there are any ways that we, the DDA, can help you make funding the SMART plan, the TPO, and the county's #1 priority, please let us know. The other big component of a mass transit system is, of course, first and last mile infrastructure. If you live or work in downtown, you're very fortunate to have the Metro Mover system that can get you to where you live or you work. Unfortunately, if you don't live within a quarter mile of a station, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Over a year ago, the Miami DDA led the implementation of downtown's first complete street pilot project. But we realize we are severely lacking a connected and safe bicycle network in downtown. We truly need bike, bus, and pedestrian facilities. So we respectfully request that you invest more in bus shelters, dedicated bus lanes, protected bike lanes, wider sidewalks, and safer pedestrian crossings. The Baywalk, the Riverwalk, and the Miami River Greenway are viable alternatives to driving, but they still have missing connections, several of which are under FDOT properties. The I-395 MacArthur Causeway that would eventually connect Museum Park to Resorts World Miami and eventually on into Edgewater is one of those. We also ask that you increase maintenance on FDOT right-of-way areas. Many FDOT areas are not routinely maintained, so please consider increasing cycles throughout the calendar year, especially during summer and rainy months. And finally, the county, the city, and the Miami DDA have all adopted the pedestrian priority zone. As you approve and fund transportation projects in the future, we ask that you please incorporate the PPZ's 10 design recommendations. You will not only be reducing traffic and building a better city, but you could also be saving lives. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Javier Betancourt, please.
All right, good evening. My name is Javier Betancourt. I'm Executive Director of the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust. That's the CITT for short. I know it's a mouthful. First of all, before I read my prepared remarks on behalf of the CITT, though, I want to say in a personal capacity, I gave up my car a year ago. I bike to work, or I bike to work via transit connection. So I absolutely echo the comments that have been made by some of the folks here today about the need for adequate bicycle infrastructure. It's woefully inadequate in Miami-Dade County. Anything we could do at the local, regional, state, federal levels to provide additional funding and resources for bicycle infrastructure would be greatly appreciated. The CITT is an entity created by the voters 17 years ago to provide oversight over the use of a half-penny sales tax and implementation of the related People's Transportation Plan, or PTP for short. In pursuit of those efforts, we work very closely with both the county's transportation department and this TPO. And truthfully and sincerely, I can ask for no greater partner than this organization and its amazing staff. She hates it when I do this, but I would particularly like to single out the executive director for her transformative leadership in elevating the TPO to an organization that is innovative, engaged, proactive, and effective. And to the 3 C's of collaboration, coordination, and communication, all of which this TPO excels at, I would add a 4th C for catalytic. Where in the past the MPO was largely reactive, this TPO is out in front, pushing policies, projects, and programs that will address our community's critical mobility challenges. One need look no further than the SMART Plan, which I'm sure you've heard a lot about already. And this is where our 2 organizations mostly intersect. One of the great challenges we face in our community is the expansion of our premium transit service to the furthest reaches of our county along a list of identified corridors. It is desperately needed and long discussed, but even after the passage of the half-penny sales tax those 17 years ago, only one small piece of the PTP corridors has actually been achieved. What's worse, at some point it seemed that the county had simply given up on even realizing this critical plan. That's when the TPO, under Eileen Bouclé's leadership, stepped in with the development of the SMART Plan. Essentially a rethinking and rebranding of the original PTP corridors, the TPO has been enormously successful in corralling the community and elected officials around this plan and in charting a path forward for its implementation. They managed to prioritize the plan as their #1 priority, selected 2 priority corridors to focus on, received resolutions of support from every city in the county, that's over 30 municipalities, rallied the community to back the effort, and identified new funding sources to help bring it to fruition. I'm happy to say that all of the corridors are currently in the project development stage and making great progress. They also had the presence of mind to think holistically about the plan by complementing it with a series of land use planning and visioning efforts, a smart trails plan that would support the corridors with a network of first, last mile bicycle pedestrian infrastructure, and a series of smart plan demonstration projects that would accelerate short-term improvements to encourage innovative ideas like the freebie on-demand transportation service, while demonstrating progress to a deeply skeptical community. For all these reasons and many more, I urge you to recertify the TPO and support their ongoing efforts to create a more mobile, connected, accessible, and sustainable Miami-Dade County. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right now, the last speaker card I have is for Spencer Pyle.
Good afternoon and welcome to Miami. My name is Spencer Pyle. I'm the Vice President of Government Affairs for the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce. I'm joined here today by our President and CEO, Alfred Sanchez, and our Vice Chair of Transportation, Ms. Vicky Leyva. We support the SMART Plan and the TPO's efforts to keep our residents and visitors moving. The TPO has been an educational resource to our members. They've also been an advocacy partner when we share priorities both in Tallahassee and Washington, D.C. It's been very helpful to show some of our legislators where the private sector and the public sector can come together for the public good. When the SMART Plan's South Corridor for bus rapid transit was being considered, We invited the TPO and other transportation resources to come and speak to our members and provide some educational and insightful resources to them. Our membership found that very valuable so they could learn more than what's in the editorial section and learn what it's like from not just the TPO, but engineering partners that are part of that plan. Our members then voted to support the bus rapid transit in the South Corridor, and we indicated that support to the TPO. We appreciate their efforts to have an open door with us as well as the county. They've been great partners for us, but we need your help. We're a very dynamic, growing community, and we attract signature events from around the world, whether it's a Super Bowl, it's Art Basel, Ultra Music Festival, NASCAR at Homestead, or even the F1 that's being considered. That brings a tremendous amount of visitors, but also revenue to our area. And if they're having a hard time moving around, they may consider not coming back that next time. So we appreciate any efforts that you can make to make mass transit more of a reality here in our community and be a great partner for us. We urge you to recertify the TPO and support their efforts going forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Colin Worth, please.
Hello, my name is Colin Worth. I have the opportunity to work with the TPO in two different fronts. One as a City of Miami representative within transportation, and as well as the chairman of the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. I just want to reiterate that the TPO has been a valuable resource for our community in developing plans and the efforts that we then are able to take and further their implementation of from the City of Miami standpoint. They really balance some of the approaches of other agencies and create a really good planning. I guess they balance the planning approach. So I urge you to recertify the TPO as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker, Dr. Claudius Carnegie. I apologize, I may have mispronounced that.
You did perfect. Being a university professor, I give you an A+. My name is Dr. Claudius Carnegie, and I represent CTAC. Thank you for the invitation to speak to you all today, and welcome to Miami. And I hope you will leave Miami granting the TPO the A+ I believe they deserve. So I will provide just a few anecdotal comments that I'm currently the vice chair for CTAC, and I feel very honored to stand here today and represent CTAC. I've been involved with the organization since actually 13 years, and I've been not only sitting on CTAC as a member, but I've been previously a vice chair, and the chair, and now I'm back as a vice chair for my last term, I guess. CTAC is one of the cogs in the wheel of the TPO. We provide a lot of technical inputs on various submittals that the FDOT and various other agencies submit to the both the MPO, which was changed, I think it was 2015, to the TPO. And during that change in 2015, the roles and responsibilities of CTAC was changed. Whereas before we were looking at transportation planning issues and transportation operational issues, after the changes in 2015, our roles and responsibilities were changed just to look at planning issues. And we're pretty excited about what we've done and what the TPO has done since that change, as well as what they've done before. But dealing with the congestion issues and various transportation issues that we're dealing with, that most of our speakers before me have commented on, and I agree with pretty much all of those comments, that there's always room for improvement. And I'm pretty excited, and I know that all of our members in CTAC are all very excited about trying to work together cohesively with a lot of public participation to try and make the necessary adjustment and changes for continuous improvement as we move forward. And that is happening under the current TPO leadership. So it's a great time to see some of the transformation that are taking place in our area. Some of the main documents that we review and members of the communities that we hear from deal with all of the elements that you highlighted: UPWUP, LRTP, TIPS, TAP, and more recently, all of our members in CTAC have been assigned roles and responsibilities to try and expedite and move forward the SMART plan. And that's a big deal right now. And as some of the speakers before me have indicated, there's definitely room for improvement in the SMART plan and some of the other elements of transportation. And I can only conclude that because of a lack of funding, and I believe that lack of funding is from Washington, that you'll take away and take back to all those decision makers. Miami-Dade is growing rapidly, and we need to improve our transportation system and make public transit a real priority because of the congestion that we continuously are trying to manage with not quite the success that we should be realizing, given that the growth of Miami. So with that said, I'd like to suggest that we will continue to make these continuous improvement going forward, and we will expect to get your support going forward, including funding, and that you'll take away from this presentation here today and the process that you've been through since you've been here, and we appreciate that you'll take back an A+ for the performance of the TPO. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The next speaker card I have is for Kieran Bowers.
Thank you very much for listening to us and for coming to Miami. My name is Kieran Bowers. I'm the president of FHWA Properties, which is a long-term partner of the City of Miami in development of condominiums, also mixed-use projects. Our most recent investment in the city was over $1 billion in a mixed-use project called Brickell City Center, which is in the downtown area. As part of that project, we worked very closely with the TPO to integrate the Metro Mover system directly into the project. And this mirrors many of the developments that we do in Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong, which is where our home base is, in order to provide a seamless transition of people coming from their apartments into the workplace, and it connects into the Metro Mover. And it's integrating that whole system into people's workplace, where people like to shop and hang out, as well as where people are actually currently living. I'd like to say that the leadership of TPO have really been absolute flag bearers of the transit-oriented development process and bringing that to the fore of the city's development mindset. I think as the city grows, and it mirrors many other transformational cities, whether it's Singapore or Hong Kong, having this front and center, this transit-oriented focus is really going to help the city deal with some of the problems it has with transportation. And the growing congestion that you will have no doubt heard about today. As an organization, we've been here for 40 years. We continue to be here. We plan to be here for another 40. We have a pipeline of investment of $3 to $5 billion in the next 7 to 10 years. Most of that will be doubling down on the Brickell neighborhood. Most of that will be integrating aspects of public transportation into those developments around the core concentration of Miami's downtown. So I urge and encourage any thoughts and time you have to continue the good work that the TPO is doing here in Miami-Dade County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much as well. I don't believe we have any other speaker cards, just seeing if anybody else has changed their mind in case they do. But if you don't, I would just like to remind everybody there's also comment cards if you do not want to speak. There's also other avenues, other ways to send us some comments if you'd like to. Going to the TPO's website, there is a way to do it through their different social media accounts, as well as going to Federal Highways website, which a link is on the TPO's account as well, and it'll send an email to us directly in case you decide you want to comment. Comment time availability is through May 2nd. So we have 30 days from today to provide comments. If there's any additional comments you'd like to make, or if you decide that if you didn't make one today, you still would like to make a comment. But calling again one last time, if there's anybody else that would like to say anything. Going once? Going twice? But I'd like to thank everybody today to taking time out of your busy schedule to come see us. We really do appreciate it. We know your time is very valuable, and we appreciate your input. We will be taking all the comments made and taking those into consideration as we work and make our findings final, and then we proceed to issuing the report for issuing those findings and the certification announcement. So we really do appreciate it. Thank you again, and also thank you again for the Miami hospitality that we have received today. It is very wonderful, and we've enjoyed it very much. Thank you. With that, if there's nobody else that would like to speak, we can call this meeting an adjournment, please.